Welcome to SOS Cinema. My name is Nicholas Pisconti.
And I'm Andrew Seelig.
And I'm Stephen Dwyer.
Today we're going to be delving into St. Elmo's Fire and just kind of having a quick discussion about that. Not quick, but just going into it.
So the movie came out in 1985. It was about a group of six or seven
friends.
recent graduate college students, and it's about their struggles in the real world.
Yeah, it's the were they the Brat Pack?
The Brat Pack, yeah, those
The Rat Pack, I thought.
Emilio
The Rat Pack
Estevez,
is
Rob
Frank
Lowe, and all
Sinatra.
them.
Oh.
But yeah.
Was it? I wonder. Was that like the last movie they made? Because I feel like this was basically like the Breakfast Club, but aged up. To
Yeah,
kids
I was
graduating
looking
high
at
school.
there were a few other ones. I forget the name of them, but also
yeah,
it was
16
interesting.
Candles.
Breakfast Club came out in 1985, and this one came out like the same year, 6 months later. So they aged pretty fast.
Really?
Yeah.
I also, just doing my own research, it's kind of funny. So St. Elmo's Bar is actually based on a real bar in Georgetown, like in that college area. It's called the Tombs. And because of the movie, like totally solidified the bars. Like now it's like a staple.
Legendary.
Like, yeah, it was like kind of like a dive type bar, but like it's kind of like one of those places now. It's like crazy popular.
I wonder. Do you think they play that song at the bar every night?
I hope so.
I
Honestly.
really hope so too.
If I went there and I didn't hear that song, I'd be kind of sad. You know?
That song is so fire. And let me just tell everyone, that
No
song
pun
is called
intended.
Man of Motion.
Okay.
St. Elmo's Fire. And yeah, that song is really good, especially after you watch the movie. And if you haven't watched the movie, you definitely should watch the movie before you watch this podcast or listen to the podcast, because
Definitely.
that's the whole point of the podcast.
Gonna be some spoilers for sure.
Yeah.
Just a quick little note. Yeah, I think honestly, starting with the music, I think that's one of the biggest things for me. The music was produced by I forget their names, but anyways, the music that was produced in the movie, genuinely I think was like fire. Like, there was no bad song in that movie, and I think that's
Yeah.
like something that's not really like a thing with newer movies. You don't really
They played Respect by Aretha Franklin, which is really cool. I love that song.
yeah, it's
and
pretty
just a lot of like the scores, like just classic 80s music,
yeah.
like saxophone just
Oh, man.
blaring.
Oh hell yeah,
We got to bring the sax back.
sax is
course.
sexy.
Facts.
Premarital sax, baby.
Oh, also at like the beginning of the movie on like the bar, I really loved. I noticed it the second time I watched the movie, like the very first scene when they're all like walking around the bar, or when they get back to the bar after
The DUI.
the hospital. Yeah, they're in the bar and like Kirby, Emilio Estevez, comes back with them, and he's in his uniform still, and he walks in and his boss is like, "Where were you? Like, why didn't you tell me you were leaving?" And Kirby just looks at me, he's like, "What are you gonna do, fire me?" Like, you can just tell he literally spent the last 4.5 years just
Oh,
at
right.
this bar.
Definitely. Well, I think that's like such an 80s vibe thing too, because like even in that intro scene, and I don't know whether that's like just a movie thing, but when Billy gets the DUI, like no one in that friend group even acts like that's like a serious
That's
thing.
what I was saying. Like, that's what I was looking up when I was watching the movie. Like, Billy, like, was the biggest degenerate, and like
Yeah.
I feel like in the 80s it was like, oh, whatever. But now, like, oh my god, like
yeah, nothing he did in that movie would be like
Yeah,
be able to fly.
and I thought his
cancel
character
that
Rob
goes for a
Lowe.
lot of characters in the movie. A lot of the stuff that they do would be like cancel worthy or just like would not be able to be like okay.
I really liked
society.
I really liked Billy in the first time I watched it. The second time I watched it, I realized, but I really liked how his whole vibe was like. My favorite quote by him was like, he was like, "Oh, school so out of hand. Like, I wish in the real world you can't be out of hand. You gotta like follow like policy and like rules." And I like that vibe about him. But like, besides that, like one scene on the roof when he's like, talking about how he missed college.
Yeah.
I really didn't like him.
So it's interesting too. So after watching it again, in the way you just said that you didn't like him after watching it, my perspective on him actually like really changed, because looking at his life in the movie, like he's like, as you can see, a total degenerate, and like his life is going wrong in so many ways. And I think it's just kind of funny because like at one point in the movie, you really see when he's going back home to his wife and daughter, and he's with
Was it the scene with Jules?
he's in the car with Jules, yeah, and things get like really out of hand there.
Quite.
That's kind of like that's
no
like
pun intended.
yeah.
Everything's out of hand and
Yes.
Exactly.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, like when that happens, like I don't know if you guys agree, but I think that's like the turning point in the movie where like all their friendships kind of start going downhill.
Yeah.
I think Billy kind of like does it to himself in a way, but I also think that like Billy's also the glue of the whole group in a certain way, because
feel
Billy's
that.
the one to break into
feel
Jules'
that.
place. He gets her to like talks her off the ledge, And the one quote from him that really sticks out to me is when he's talking to Jules and he goes, It's St. Elmo's fire. Electric flashes in the sky that appear in darkness that appear nowhere. And he's like, it's all fake. You're making this up like yourself with that stuff. And it's like, for like this guy who like can't have like, it doesn't have any control over his own life, for him to be like this guru for everyone else's lives.
He's got the charisma.
Yeah.
And that was a major
Out the wazoo.
Yeah, that was a major breaking of the fourth wall. He goes, "We're all going through this." And he looked right in the camera. I was like, "Whoa!" Kind of spooked out. But I don't think his character arc was that good because, like, he acted like he was like, "Oh, mom, like I need to change." Like, you know, when he was at the frat and he was like, "Yo, like I need a job," and they're like, "Oh, we need someone to get the drugs," and he like felt sad about that. Like, damn, I gotta make myself a better person.
Yeah.
But like the last two things he did in the movie where he was saying goodbye to his friend, and then all he wanted was her virginity, which is kind of weird. Like, I feel like that kind of was on par with what he's been doing the entire time. It's all about sex for him, and then
and he was trying to be full circle with it, I guess.
I think maybe he was also kind of self-sabotaging because I think at that point he was trying to go out of his own way to do better, and like the people that he was trying to like get encouragement from were also kind of not supporting him, so he kind of fell back into that mindset maybe.
Yeah, then he like left. Like, I mean, I guess. What do you think about his when he left the family? Because he didn't want to confuse the kid or like.
Yeah, I feel like that's not a bad thing. And down the line, he probably, if we're talking like about reality, like he probably would have gone back to see the kid eventually.
Right.
But he just knows that like right now he's clearly not mature enough to be there for her.
Which is true, and I mean, also I feel like his wife and the kid, like although they were like characters in the movie, I kind of feel like they were kind of just thrown in there. Like we don't really meet the wife until like the second half of the movie in the bar.
Yeah, the Halloween party.
The Halloween party, yeah.
That was awesome.
Which is also another scene where it's kind of like the turning pivotal point too, because the Halloween scene is that when Kevin and Leslie get together?
That's so Alec proposed and Leslie found out that he was cheating, and then Kevin.
Oh no, that wasn't Halloween. That was when Kirby had
the party.
At Kim's house, at Mr. Kim's house.
Yes.
I think that first of all, I want to go back and go into Kevin a little bit. I think Kevin is by far the worst character in the movie. He's irredeemable. He was. I thought he was a complete incel. He was smart ass, pretentious. Like
I totally disagree, but I want to hear. I want to hear why. I want to hear why because I have such a different viewpoint.
I think the part with Kevin that really irked me was when, like, after he gets with Leslie, and then like she moves in with Jules, and he's hanging out at their apartment like all the time, and he's like, we should get a place together when it's been like a week.
Yeah,
and they've literally hooked up like 3 times.
And he was mad hypocritical because.
Yeah, then like Alec called and he's like, "Tell him we're moving in together."
My God. Yeah, he was mad hypocritical.
Like, dude, what are you doing?
I don't believe in love. I don't believe in marriage. And then, like, he was the first time he had an opportunity with the girl. He just like, "Oh, I love you so much," and it was his best friend. He like screwed him over.
But I think it was different because in the movie, like they even make it clear they all went to the same college, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And there's one point in the scene where Leslie says to Kevin, and she's like, "Could you imagine if I like lived in a different dorm?" Something like that. Never met Alec.
Like, yeah.
And then Kevin, you can see a little bit, like if you look at Kevin through each of the scenes where he's with Alec and Leslie, he's like the little things that Alec does, you can see set him off. But I think he says the stuff where he's like, I don't believe in love and all this stuff is because he's been so madly in love with Leslie from the start. But I think he's also just genuinely a really good friend where he doesn't want to ruin Alec's relationship because he respects Alec. And he realized that Alec's with the girl of his dreams, whatever.
So you think it was a breaking point and it was like...
But yeah. And I think he found his moment to step in because he was comforting Leslie anyways, and Leslie's the one that came across the pictures. And it's like, do you remember? Because she was like, one of your props too? And like, you couldn't really answer, but like, you can tell like he's had those pictures probably since like college or whatever. Like, he's just been like dreaming about this girl, you know?
He wasn't like really trying to, but then like it just got to a certain point where he had to tell her.
Right.
Like how he felt.
Exactly.
I just thought he was a little...
And he also doesn't even tell Leslie about Alec cheating. Like Alec tells Kevin about this, and Kevin keeps his mouth shut. Like any like backstabber would have been like, Leslie, like your dude's cheating. That's a good point. You know?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess like the fact that
he stayed true.
If Alec didn't cheat on her, I would say he's a lot worse. But yeah, I guess like Alec kind of had it coming because I guess he really loved Leslie, and he didn't like the way Alec was treating her. So like I guess maybe he was kind of resentful of him.
I really feel like all 7 characters are just deeply flawed.
I completely agree. They're all super relatable in some way too.
Yeah,
I honestly like.
They are.
I don't know if you guys could agree with this, but I kind of related them to like the 7 sins, at least the guys a little bit. And like,
Who's who?
I would say like Alec is greed and pride. Maybe I say that because like
And lust.
because he has the job. What I said, Billy was lust. So I say Alec's
true.
greed and pride because like he's got the girl, he's got the job. They're obviously living in a pretty nice place. Yeah, he wants more. He's got to sleep with the other like girl that's attractive, like putting on the stuff. Is never really like satisfied. He's like, I'll be faithful when she's ready to settle down. Like clearly he's using excuses, whatever. And then I said Kevin himself was like self-pity and like pride, because I think Kevin has like this own like pride about him where he's like he's sticking to his morals, and that's why he's like he doesn't go after any other girl or whatever. And I think that's also why he ends up sleeping with her and then like going crazy over the edge and like she's mine now, like let's move in together type shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then I said Billy was lust obviously because he's like sleeping around all the time. But yeah, I don't know. Kirby's the only like weird character where like Kirby, in my opinion, is weird because he's like the like most relatable, like ever, like likable character.
Yeah.
But if you look at his actions, he's
super
like low-key
creepy.
the
He's
weirdest kid
He would
ever.
have a mad restraining order on it.
Yes.
Oh my
But
God.
I think his
It's so
primary
funny.
point of the movie was just like the comic relief. I think. I don't think
Okay.
he had any like major like. His plot was like the fun plot. Like
Yeah.
he had the guy. Like he had the
The stalking.
yeah. I mean, no, I know, but like
But yeah.
That was also interesting to me, like how like I wonder if that was just like a movie thing or
Yeah.
like if that was like something in like the 80s where like phones weren't really a big thing, so like it wasn't like I don't know. It was
I
like,
think it was.
you can stalk people.
I
on
think in
social
real
media.
world-
Like, I got her hospital schedule.
Yeah, like,
Yeah,
that was
really
so
weird.
sus.
I think that it was really in any. You cannot relate it to reality at all. If that was anywhere real, it'd be like the worst thing ever.
Yeah,
That's how the movie was like really like raw. I thought. a lot
I
of
think
ways.
there's like a lot. Of, I don't know. I mean, I think 80s movies in general is like try to like make
Yeah.
the times seem a lot better than they were, maybe.
Yeah.
Or like
Sure.
glorify the times.
Yeah.
Which is like a really interesting aspect because they do it with this movie too. Like even all the mess ups with the movie, like I don't know, like you know what I mean. Like it makes you like want to go back to that time and like live through that time period.
I
No
thought
way,
the funny part of the movie was when what's his name Kirby kissed Dale
Yes.
And-
at the ski house. Yeah.
and the guy goes like, honey, I'll get a camera and we'll take a picture of you guys. And then he walks into the house, gets the camera, he kisses her like passionately, and she like loves it. And he just takes a picture of the guys.
And he puts his arm around me. He's like got this
He's just, like-
smile on his
He's
face.
like completely oblivious. Like, oh, that's so funny.
It's also interesting too that was like all Kirby needed to like be chilling.
yeah.
know?
He was more like,
Going
yeah,
back,
it was
he's
like a-
"Alright,
He was like a.
I'm going back to law school.
Exactly. It's
Just
more
a
like a little
challenge.
kid crush. Yeah.
Oh, I also love the part where he's at the restaurant when he like first trying to meet her for the dinner, and he goes, "This is a table for 4," and he goes, "Then I'll play double."
Yeah.
Doesn't have a job.
Like, I couldn't imagine like the level of like just like not giving a shit.
Also, I want to know like where their money is coming from. Like, obviously, they went to good schools. They went to Georgetown, whatever. Some of his
Yeah.
parents probably came from money. We see with Wendy, her dad's like super rich. Has a
Yeah,
car
and she
company.
works at a charity too.
Right.
No, she
Um,
did like human resources.
All right, who's the charity person?
She was kind of. She worked at the food bank.
Was that volunteer?
No, like she was doing like welfare stuff
Yeah. A
Um.
little bit of
as
both.
a job.
Also, speaking of the girls, I don't know if you guys touched on this and like while you guys were reading or watching it, but I thought it was really interesting the character arcs between genders, where the guys in the movie it's all about like finding their place in life, finding their job, finding like happiness, you know, and for the most part, the girls in the movie and Jules and Leslie for the most part are more so like this.
Yeah.
But it's when am I gonna find my guy to marry and settle down with? And Wendy's actually the only one who's like breaking from that stereotype of the
Yeah.
times and is like, I don't need a man to be happy.
She's
I'm
like,
working.
I want
for this.
my
I thought it was
own
cool.
place.
Yeah,
I want to make my own peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
yeah, it tastes so much better when you're living on your own.
And Leslie kind of figured that out towards the end of the movie, which is kind of her like her
Big
her
movie.
theme of her character. But I think Jules was kind of not. I think her whole thing was like taking. It's kind of a whole like facade about I'm like the fun girl and like I love having fun. But she was like really hurt because like her stepmother was dying and like she never like talked to her
Mm-hmm.
Right.
until like she was dying and like the whole thing was like a complete facade for her. And but she was really going through it and like she had a major coke problem. And it was weird how they showed that. I feel like not weird how they showed it. Like that's what I'm saying. Like the movie was raw.
80s movies
Yeah.
like displayed
Like it was very
drugs.
raw. They just showed a bunch of coke
Right.
and
I wonder what they use in the movies like for stuff like that. Like I wonder
probably
back then
baking
like
powder. I bet
baby powder. Yeah.
bacon maybe. I don't know exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, not coke or just real coke.
Or just real coke. Yeah, they're just
Yeah.
like full send in it. But yeah,
I really liked just like random detail how like Jules like when she first like brings Kevin over one time and she's like, why didn't you ever make a pass to me? And then like she asks him if he's gay. And I love how she like tries to set him up with her roommate, the designer, and he just keeps showing up throughout the movie.
Loki, he was like one of my favorites.
Hi, Ron.
He was so disappointed at the end when like he found out.
Yeah, he's with Leslie.
Yeah,
and he's like, hold on 1 second. Hi, Ron. Ron's like, hey.
I also think that Jules is one of those people, and I think we see it throughout the movie until we find out that she has issues. But Jules seems like reminds me of one of those girls that her dad obviously was set pretty well. Like we find out in the beginning. And it seems like she was one of those like trust fund kids who like always had like the money but never had the love.
Yeah.
And because of that, like you guys were saying, like over exuberated this like happiness energy and like always had to be like involved in everyone's problems. That's why she went to Kevin and was like, why you never pass on me? Are you gay? Trying to set him up with the roommate. And then like it's funny that like they did that because like totally breaks down towards the end. And you see that she's actually one of the weakest out of the group.
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing with Alec because he was like he was the guy that everyone looked at as like always the guy who has it all together.
Right.
But then like he also kind of like flipped on his morals because he was leader of the Democrat club in college, becomes a Republican, doesn't have any like backbone with that, and then he's like really insecure about like his girl. I feel like because he needs to marry her, which is like he just wasn't.
It seems like he's just trying to check the boxes.
Yeah, he's really concerned about
exactly.
The image.
That's a perfect way to say it.
Classic politician trying to rise the ranks.
But deep down, like he
like you say, gotta check all the boxes.
He was going through his own stuff. Like
he was.
Yeah.
I like how everybody's they're all just trying to like figure out adulthood.
Yeah,
it's what it really is. It's like the Breakfast Club where they're trying to figure out high school and growing up, but now it's like, oh, like we're really in this. Like
I really thought that,
but it still felt pretty like not too like high stakes for them though.
I agree.
Right.
Completely agree.
Kind of shows how like the 20s, like I don't know, everyone's like you live in your 20s. The 20s are the best times of your life, and like you'll experience so much great stuff, and like never like forget your 20s. Like everyone's parents say that, and I think there's a lot of truth to that. But I also think from this movie you see too, like living on your own when you're 20 is also very scary.
It's not easy.
It's such an uncertain time in your life where anything could happen. Like I don't know, you really see that from like the character's growth, like where Billy goes from not really caring about work to then selling his saxophone to have to pay rent, and then working at the car place, and then getting his sax back. Like you already see, like he's already like changed so much throughout the movie. Like I don't know, his mindset has grown so much. But I think that's something that we all go through in life, which is kind of cool. Get to see that from them in the movie aspect.
Yeah. Who do you guys think is we kind of talked about both of them, but who do you think was creepy? I guess we kind of talked about this a little bit. I thought Kirby was creepy. We also thought Kevin was creepy. You kind of talked about that.
Wait,
but you don't think Kevin was creepy?
Do you think Kevin is that the same guy who played the stepdad from the Santa Claus? I'm almost convinced.
I haven't seen that.
It was him.
100% sure it is. I think.
Right, like the face.
So. I'm pretty sure it's Andrew McCarthy.
That's his name.
It could not be.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm gonna look it up.
Definitely do, please.
So you guys think that like Kevin wasn't creepy at all, though?
What do you mean by creepy, or how creepy?
The pictures was creepy.
Pictures were creepy,
but the pictures aren't creepy in a way, because I feel like the pictures are very much so just a sign of the times.
Yeah.
Like because not gonna call anyone out, but
you could just have a stash of photos.
Yeah, we all like. I mean, we all catch ourselves sometimes on Instagrams, like lurking through people's pages, and I feel like that's like in some way kind of similar, you know. So like, maybe like you don't have like pictures of some random girl saved on your phone. But, like,
you also had a coffin in his house for no reason.
He also did have a coffin in his house.
That guy was weird. I don't know.
Really strange.
He thought he would get the ladies.
Oh, let's talk about his talks with the prostitute. That was kind of random.
I kind of like them.
I liked that part.
Yeah,
that was funny, but
there were a lot of like almost surreal moments in this movie. Like literally the first scene, the very beginning when like they show the graduation. And then the flashing lights, and they walk into the hospital, and there's just a naked dude like walking by.
I didn't see. Right. I missed that part.
I missed that. Like a chubby naked dude.
I was like, oh, this is absurd.
Which also, I wonder if that's like an allusion to like the St. Elmo's fire, of it being like
Just
like
flashes.
a plasma out of darkness, out of nowhere, like it being just like a random. Like,
That's what the movie is.
Yeah, the movie kind of is. It's like a random like blurb in time. That's just like it's there.
It's a flash of moments in
Exactly.
time.
Also, there's no real plot in it. It's kind of just like
the time is like hard to figure out.
it's sort of like Dazed and Confused a little bit, where it's just like.
But it's not just like one day.
Yeah, but it's like one like couple months. But there's no set like climax. Yeah.
I'd say there's a rising action and a climax.
No, you're
to
right.
this.
You're
The
right.
climax
I
of
guess
being
so.
Jules.
Facts.
Jules' breakdown.
Yeah. But it's like it's just life, though. I mean, it's not like
Yeah.
nothing
It's just
crazy
it's
happens. Just
it's
life.
a snapshot.
That's
of
what I
shit
meant by
happening.
some of
Yeah.
these.
One thing that's like honestly the really like one of the coolest things about the movie is like can like play on so many emotions. I think because of the fact that it relates so much to life still. Like,
yeah, timeless.
in a lot of ways, but I think in a lot of ways it also doesn't. Just because I mean, like going back to Kirby, he literally goes to this girl's house like that one night and is like spamming on her buzzer, like open the door, and then goes up to the roommate when she opens the window and she's like, tell me where what's her name? I forget her name again.
Dale.
Tell me where Dale is. And she's like, why should I tell you? And he's like, I'm not responsible for what happens if you don't.
That was really weird,
he's like,
dude.
what'd I do to you?
Yeah, and it's like no way in today's day and age would like
Just
anyone hear that and be like,
someone on the
okay,
street.
I'm gonna tell you where this person is and not call the police. But
Yeah.
so I think in some aspects
Like,
that's like
you
very
seem
much so
sane.
not like realistic, but I think it also plays a lot too. Like
I loved also how when he got to the ski house, he like whips into the driveway and you see him drive in like to the snow. And I watched it happen the first time. I was like, oh, that car's stuck.
yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. Also, it's funny. He took the car from Wendy and her
so
fiance,
unhinged.
and just like broke it in the first night. Like it broke down the brand new car.
Also, I feel really bad for Wendy because she not like because of this, because she obviously didn't want to marry that guy or get engaged to the guy. But when she's talking to her dad, and her dad's like, and she goes to her dad, and she's like, I love Billy. And like we kind of get to this moment where like, because she was done with Billy too. She was like, Billy's immature.
Yeah.
Billy had also
At
like
the start of the movie, she was like, I know I need to move on.
right, and Billy also wronged her in so many ways. Like that day when they were at her house with the family dinner, and
Just hops up on the roof.
yeah,
Oh,
he's
she
on the
kinda-
roof, and
she
then
kinda
after
liked
that, like
that.
he pulls on her Spanx and kind of like makes fun of her and stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
there were so many like points in time in their relationship where she like I don't know, like he was so like offensive to her in a way,
Yeah.
and like just like disregarded her feelings as a person. And then for her to say that she loves him still, like went back for him, and then like loses her virginity to him, but then he still leaves at the end. It's not like they end up together. Like she low key just gets like kind of used throughout the whole movie. It seems like, but I guess in a way,
bit.
like I don't know, maybe she gets her own closure from that. I don't know.
Probably, I think.
Yeah, but I thought that was interesting just because everyone else kind of seems to like have like more of like a concrete plan at the end of the movie, and she's like the only one that's kind of like still on track.
She finally gets Billy, then he just leaves.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about. Billy like doesn't really.
But
improve
she
that
gets
much.
her own freedom.
And maybe that's
That's
it. Like,
true.
it's
Maybe
more
that
about being
she's
spontaneous and just having fun.
She
Maybe
wanted-
and she's no longer under like the leash of her dad. Maybe.
Yeah.
that's fair.
Yeah, I mean Billy at the end too, going to New York also is like a big change too, because I think that's like the one motif, I guess, like they're trying to push like go for your dreams.
Yeah. Also leaving college, like, he couldn't just stay there anymore. Like, he had to move on.
Right.
That was his big thing.
I think he also honestly, he's honestly a very relatable character. I feel like to like a lot of college kids,
Exactly.
maybe.
Especially entering like their last year of college.
Right.
Like, very relatable. Like no one. He's probably the least adjusted to the real world, I think.
Yeah, it's probably
Oh, for
because
sure.
like honestly, he's like a good-looking dude. If you think about it, he probably peaked so hard in college, or not peaked so hard, but yeah, I mean peaked so
Yeah.
hard. He probably was getting every girl ever. He was in a frat, like good-looking dude, played an instrument. He probably was slaying every night.
The
and like
sax.
the sax, like come on, and probably like going into the real world after that, where everyone's like more focused on I'm gonna find myself someone with a job, and he's just this like drifter now.
Mhm.
It goes from being like top dog to bottom like feet of the pool. You know, I don't know. Yeah,
He still got a sax.
Completely
still
agree.
got a sax.
Did he buy a new one? Because like
He must have.
I think he got a.
they didn't really. I knew he was gonna play sax in the club, but they never actually talked about him buying a new sax.
True.
Yeah, not a major detail, I guess.
Yeah.
Didn't make it to post.
Exactly. Also, this movie has a pretty low rating on like what do you call it? Rotten Tomato,
Rotten Tomato. Okay.
which is very surprising because I thought it was like a really like I thought it was like the a pretty good equivalent of the Breakfast Club for college. You know, like you were talking about that earlier, but
The Breakfast Club came out first, and I'd say the Breakfast Club is definitely better, more memorable characters and like moments.
Oh, I did do really bad. 42% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I enjoyed it.
I really like the movie. Honestly.
I think it's a really solid movie. I don't know how. I wonder how they decide that. You think like the cocaine in the movie and like.
I wonder if it's honestly because there's not like. I mean, there is like substance to the movie, but I'm wondering if it's because it's like you said, it's just like a day in the life. It's normal things happening, maybe.
Yeah.
And honestly, like when it came out, I think us watching it as kids growing up in the 2000s, looking back at the 80s, we're all like honestly, we look at the 80s and any time period that we weren't living in. I think we look at it as like a mystical time period.
Yeah.
You know, and like every time period that's not ours seems so much better than ours.
Yeah.
And I feel like those people that were rating the movies in the 80s, wherever during that time period, were probably like, well, yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
Well, probably honestly, they were probably like, "This is so unrealistic to what the '80s are actually like."
Probably wasn't special. Like,
Well, it's a movie.
And
Did they have Rotten Tomatoes in the 80s?
I wonder if there was Rotten Tomatoes in the '80s. There definitely had to have been like some equivalent, right?
Well, yeah, there was movie critics and stuff. Well, I don't know if they had Rotten Tomatoes.
one thing I really didn't like about the movie was at the end when, like, you know how like Alec almost like killed Kevin by holding him over the balcony.
Oh yeah.
And then, like the next day, like Leslie was saying, like, "Oh, you know, I just want to be single," and they were like playfully joking, like, "Oh, I don't know if I'm okay with." Like, how could they be friends after that?
I'm wondering if that was the next day.
I know, but I feel like well, I'm not saying how could they be friends. I'm saying how can Kevin make a joke? Because Kevin did kind of screw over Alex, and that.
I don't know if he did though, because Alex screwed over himself. You know.
Yeah.
Like genuinely, I don't know. Like I don't have an issue with Kevin sleeping with Leslie. I don't have an issue with the way it went down because genuinely, like, she calls him out. He ends up folding and giving himself away.
Yeah.
And then Alec also runs into the party, makes a fool of himself, pushes Kevin to the ground, knocks over the pot, like, and makes a big scene. Like, why did you tell Leslie all this? And Leslie's like, I didn't, and I just had a hunch, but you confirmed it. And like after that, I mean, Kevin's just really trying to console her. If anything, Leslie's the one that kind of pushes it on Kevin to like have sex with him. You know?
Yeah, I'm not saying I didn't think it was a good part of them. I'm saying like I just thought it was very unbelievable. Like,
okay.
I just didn't. I like maybe like, oh come on, that's just so like corny. That's how I thought of that part, honestly.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but you know, you have sex with your best friend's girlfriend. You kind of expect to, or not expect. Like I feel like I would offer, if I were to do that, which like I probably wouldn't, but if I were, I would offer my best friend whose girlfriend I slept with. I'd offer him to like just a free punch or something.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like kind of dangling you and almost killing you. Like that's
I'm okay
payback.
with the dangling a little bit.
And you gotta realize like, okay, I fucked your girlfriend.
I just
You
feel like
almost killed me. Like,
I
all
agree.
right,
I agree with the dangling.
no
part.
harm, no foul.
I just don't agree with. I feel like they were way too corny at the end. Like they would have been like, all right, I'm not gonna talk to you. They could have been like, all right, we're cool, but like we're not gonna be joking around. Like,
And they do the noise again. We're just like,
oh, oh my god, that part was like hard to watch.
What
We're in
was-
the bathroom.
Yeah.
Boogly boogly boogie. Ha ha ha.
I know. After he
She's
stuck
funny.
his head in the toilet, I'd be so mad.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, how sloshed was Billy like during that, like his character? Because like, there's no way that any sober person would be like, "Oh yeah, you just gave me a swirly. I'm good with that. Let's go."
Yeah,
We're
back
in like
on
the
with our day."
80s with
Let's-
like the
let's
AIDS
keep
crisis in
joking.
the toilet. Oh man.
Yeah, that also it's a bar bathroom. There's no way
Oh.
that like toilet was anywhere near clean, dude. I
Oh,
would have
no.
been like,
And he goes, "Yo, what's in?" Yeah. But
"Yeah, what's in? You also
AIDS
smell
are
like a
in, so-
toilet."
I know he doesn't even try to like get a paper towel in his hair.
Also,
He
going
just
back to
goes
Rotten
on.
Tomatoes. So sorry to interrupt you, Steve, but Rotten
No.
Tomatoes came out in 1998,
Ah.
and St. Elmo's Fire was released in 1985.
So I wonder when they rated that.
So
I feel like you can't. I feel like those rating sites aren't actually like realistic. I mean, they're not a good basis of what
Yeah.
a good movie is at all.
well, I mean, IMDb is pretty solid, right?
Yeah.
IMDb is good.
Give them a higher rating, 6.4.
That's so low though. I think it should. I mean, I guess
No,
it's
that's
just,
not bad. You can't.
I would give
you
it.
can't give every Brat Pack movie an 8.5.
I've only
Right.
seen 2. Yeah, that's fair.
And again, I think that a lot of like the praise and like stuff that we give it comes from us, like just looking at an 80s movie and like the nostalgia of it being an 80s
Definitely.
movie.
Yeah.
Because like I don't know, I mean like movies were just differently, like they were filmed different back then. Like I made
So
a note of it while watching, but like a lot of their like costumes and like the sets and stuff like almost seem like theatrical in a way, you know?
Yeah,
Like where movies nowadays like they're like you're on set But like I don't know, like this movie, it seemed like we were on like a theater production almost, like in a way.
It was like not. I don't even know how to describe. Like not minimalistic, but although like I wanted to talk about Alec in Leslie's apartment, where it's like the fat, spacious white room.
I was wondering how they afforded that.
And it's got the
especially
one
in
couch
DC
and the crazy like Nike mural. That was so cool.
Oh yeah, I want to live there.
Like,
first of all, that'd be sick.
I thought that it changed throughout the movie, but I think it was the same the whole time.
It could have been her. So she worked for Nike. I think she was a graphic designer or something.
Who?
I think Leslie's like character was a graphic designer or something. I think she like painted for Nike.
She did say something about my drafting table.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Point.
So I think she might have worked for Nike or something. Oh. But yeah, I mean that place was really big and like seemed like way out of their price range for just graduating college.
That's very similar to how it is in like Friends, where like they don't work a job.
Like,
exactly. They just have like a nice like 2-bedroom apartment with a nice balcony right in the dead center of Manhattan.
Joey's a struggling actor.
Monica's like a struggling chef. Like she doesn't even have like a job for half the movie. I mean half the show, and then
Chandler's like the only one with the job, right? And Ross too. Ross works at the museum or something.
Yeah, Rachel's literally a coffee barista.
Yeah,
and she
is also. I wonder if that like could be realistic. Maybe just price of rent was just, like extremely low back then.
I doubt it. No way.
But, I mean, I mean, it's all like variable. So I mean, like they could have been making that much if rent was that low.
That's true.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing too about the movie that I thought was really interesting. Going back to that, is that like if we're looking at realisticness of the whole movie, I would say there's definitely like a large portion of it that's realistic, but like the apartment, first of all, not realistic. I don't think that Kirby going like to all those hoops to like get this girl and like doing all that stuff, I don't think that's realistic. I think that would have been a restraining order for sure.
Yeah.
And then if we go to like Billy's seat in the car,
that was uncomfortable.
I don't think that if I was Jules, I would not want to talk to Billy like
that was really uncomfortable.
Long time.
That was probably uncomfortable. Sexual assault, pretty much.
Yeah, it was for sure sexual assault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like Billy was a degenerate, and like
she goes no, and he goes, "Who says no?" She's like, "Why do you
emotionally?" Actually,
I do.
Kind of pushes her head, which really that was uncomfortable. But
which I wonder if that was like I don't know. Going back to a different movie, but I've seen Kids, which is I think about the 80s too, but it seems that like that culture was like very much so like 80s thing, where like stuff like that happened, and like I feel like not that it was seen as like a joke, but I feel like a lot of people brushed that off, and we're like, because if you think about it, like she doesn't tell anyone, boys will be boys type stuff, like because Jules doesn't tell any of her friends about Billy, like I don't know. It's just like that would definitely not fly today.
That just shows the difference of cultures, and that's a good change, obviously.
Yeah. I think also good change is that now everyone's railing coke at every party or every like bar event,
Yeah. Also, apparently, it's very easy to get a job in the Korean mafia.
Korean mafia?
Wasn't the guy a Korean
mafia?
Mr.
Kim was
because Billy had a job. I got a job with the Korean mafia.
Okay.
And then later in the movie, Kirby got a job with the Korean. Here's my house.
just to throw the party.
Oh right,
his house.
Kirby was like, not Kirby. Billy was sleeping with that girl, right? Wasn't the Korean mafia dude's like?
Yeah. That was like kind of that was a fast scene. I was like, I kind of forgot
Mr. Kim, you're not supposed to be home till Thursday.
Yeah. Also, just not even phased at all. He's just like, oh, what's up?
Nah, Billy's been here before.
He's been through that rodeo a couple times for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if we're never mind. I think one of my favorite parts about how the movie ended was like they all kind of go through their own thing, and then the thing with Jules, and they all realize like, yeah, like we need to grow up.
Yeah.
Like it's time for us to grow up. But Kirby's going back to law school. Leslie and Alex aren't getting back together. They're all gonna find themselves. They become adults, and they're like, so go to the bar, and then they're like their first adult decision is, no, let's go get brunch.
Yeah. Like, there's too many kids here.
That's just such a like 23-year-old thing to do. Like, yeah, let's get brunch.
That makes me sad.
Go get some mimosas.
The day when it's like, oh, let's get some brunch. I'm like, come on.
But I also feel like too, it's like
undergrad.
That's when
I think everything and like it just comes with getting older. I feel like everything runs its course in a way. So like looking back on like high school stuff, going to like a high school sporting event was like the epitome of the weekend. You'd go to like the football games. That'd be pretty fun.
Yeah.
Now looking at a high school football game, I wouldn't necessarily want to go to a high school football game right now. Being a college student, like you want to hang out with your friends, go to bars and stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's like the very now thing to do. And I feel like, yeah, when we get to that age where like we're graduated, we're gonna be like, we're gonna hit that point where we're also like, you know, I'm kind of done with that whole scene too. Like it's time to start focusing on like the long haul.
And I feel like that's really realistic.
Time to start focusing on brunch.
Start focusing on brunch.
A lot of kids who graduate, I think, are the same way. They probably have that moment where, like, at the end of the movie we were talking about, they just say, all right, we gotta move on from this, and like,
yeah,
that's also like just kind of shows you gotta appreciate like the time you're in, because it's not gonna last. You can't always go to a college bar and to be the same as it. True.
All you have is now.
Exactly.
I mean, I would say overall it's like a really good movie. I mean, I'm fine with the 6.4 rating, honestly. I wouldn't say that it's like, I would say it's like a crazy, like amazing film, like
no
stand out. But I think it is stand out in its own way.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely like, if you think 80s movies, I think you think Breakfast Club. I think you think Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I think that's 80s for sure, right?
Yeah.
I think you think St. Elmo's Fire has to be in that rotation. I think you think Top Gun.
It's kind of more
Risky Business.
It's kind of more like a background movie. Not a lot of people know it, but like
but it's it's a good gem and diamond in the rough, if you will. I told my mom I watched it. She was like, "Oh, really? I like that movie."
Yeah, exactly.
So nice.
It's big with the parents for sure.
That was their time.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Also interesting.
Actually, it came out in '85. My mom graduated college 1984.
Okay.
So like it's literally
I
about
missed
her.
it by a bit. Yeah, that's good though.
Also, Demi Moore's character, so Jules.
Demi Moore.
Very interesting because
She's pretty famous.
she's very famous. She's in
Very
Ghost. I'm talking about this shit.
Her and
but
Rob Lowe, two biggest people in there.
I find it funny that
Who?
she,
And Rob Lowe, two like big stars in that movie.
Emilio Estevez in a lot of other stuff too, not just the Brad Pitt stuff. I feel like.
Yeah, his father. I'm pretty sure his father. Anyone see Apocalypse Now?
Charlie Sheen's
Sheen's his brother.
Yeah, Charlie Sheen's his brother. I forget their dad's name.
But his father.
Martin Sheen.
His father. His father. His actor. He plays a character who fights in Vietnam, and his son, or Emilio Estevez, plays the guy who creeps on a girl. And
Really?
Emilio Estevez also.
Yeah, so
Emilio Estevez also played a guy who fights in Vietnam in Platoon.
Oh, true.
Oh, he plays that?
Oh, wait, no. Charlie Sheen's in Platoon. I don't think Emilio Estevez is.
Wait, Charlie Sheen.
Willem Dafoe's in that movie.
Yeah, so his father and his brother are war heroes in movies. And he
creeps on
is a
character.
creepy guy who.
And in the
stalks
Breakfast
women.
Club, he's a jock who beats up nerds.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny though because even the Breakfast Club, he's kind of a goofy character too.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
that
no,
scene when they're
that's
on
why
the-
like a lot of the characters, like you could almost picture them being like the guys from Breakfast Club, but like growing up.
So okay,
Like Bender becomes Alec in some parallel universe, and whatever her name is becomes Leslie.
Oh yeah, because she's in the Breakfast Club too. Yeah.
She was the one with the hair. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she got the
I can't
dandruff.
remember her
Dandruff.
name.
That was so
The
gross.
snowflakes.
I don't know why they had like that.
The Coke and like the sugar for her lunch
Oh
Yep.
my
and the
god.
sandwich.
But I would say that's the biggest thing because I found St. Elmo's Fire in high school watching it because of the Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
And I was like always like Ferris Bueller, the Breakfast Club, like those two like 80s movies, like this is fire movies, obviously. But the one character, the one actor that like I think is like super dynamic is Judd Nelson, who plays Bender in the Breakfast Club, and then Alec. Because
I didn't realize that.
total opposites.
Halfway through I watched the movie, I didn't realize it was the same character. I was like, whoa, same actor.
No, I mean that's the
seriously
thing.
though.
That's the thing. Yeah,
Dynamic.
yeah, very dynamic.
Very
He also went to
different
Harvard.
roles.
Smart dude.
Yeah. Going back to Emilio Estevez, he's like his actor is like very short. His characters he plays are very short fuse. He's like, like he's all angry. He gets like kind of anger issues. Pretty funny. Like he's always. I feel like
complex.
he's usually the comedy relief though. Like
Yeah.
I said before.
I'd agree.
With just a little sprinkle in some depth. Honestly,
And
not
a little-
in
and
St. Elmo's
And
Fire.
like a little bit of creep,
A little bit of spice.
a little bit of stalker, a little bit of restraining order.
It's also interesting too that I don't know. Besides, like, I mean, Andrew McCarthy and I would say Mare Winningham, who plays Wendy,
Yeah.
are the only two
Never
like
seen her.
that really like aren't in other movies.
And I looked it up. Andrew McCarthy is not the stepdad from the Santa Claus.
Oh, he's not.
It's not him.
Unfortunate. Okay.
Similar faces.
They do. They look alike.
It could have been a young that guy.
Yeah, it's his son in a long lost world.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that's the interesting. Like Rob Lowe, obviously, Emilio Estevez, been a lot of stuff. Demi Moore is huge. Judd Nelson's big actor. Ali Sheedy too is a big actress. I'm pretty sure. Besides the Brat Pack stuff, I'm not too familiar with her stuff, but I'm pretty sure she's been a lot.
I think the actress who played Dale, I could be wrong because she was kind of tall, but Emilio Estevez might just be short. I think she's the same. She was the girl in Groundhog Day.
Oh,
yeah, I think
I could see that.
He almost definitely was because Bill Murray's like 6'2".
interesting.
Is he actually? He's tall?
Yeah.
I did not know that. Hold on, I'm now gonna look this up because I am super interested.
Boogie boogie. Ha ha ha.
Ha ha ha. Yeah, that was it.
Alright, cast. Let's see. So you said that she is the Groundhog's Day person?
Yeah.
She has been in Groundhog's Day, you were right. Yeah, she is.
That's her. I knew it. I immediately recognized her face.
Yeah, she's a pretty woman. Good looking gal. What else has she been? She's been in a lot of stuff, actually. She was... Actually, no, she's not. I lied to your face.
How could you?
But she's in Footloose, the new one, though. It's not really anything to talk about. She's in Magic Mike. Interesting. Yeah, she's in some stuff.
Wait, she's in the new Footloose?
Yeah, she's in the 2011 one, apparently.
I didn't know that. I watched that like somewhat recently with my mom and my sister.
So if you guys ever want to email our podcast, we would love to hear what your thoughts are on St. Elmo's Fire. Maybe a movie suggestion.
Yeah.
Or
I take movie suggestions.
Want to like maybe insult us a little bit. I would love to hear that.
Yeah, chirp the hell out of us. Tell us where we need to like shut up and stick to the script a little bit.
We love
like,
some constructive criticism. We're just full out of, roasting. I'm okay with that. So if you want to email us, it's sos.cinema.sos@gmail.com. So sos.cinema.sos@gmail.com.
And cinema is CINEMA.
And SOS is SOS.
And if you didn't get that, you spell SOS and it's S and then O and then an S.
And then a dot, which is not the letter. No, it's not the number. No, it's not. It's not the word dot. It's the symbol dot. And then it's cinema, which is
CIME.
You spelled it.
Did I actually?
How do you spell
CIMENA, I think. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, that's Simona.
CIN.
SOS cinnamon.
No, I'm right. It's CINEMA.
Yeah.
Cinema.
You just said
Cinema.
CIMENA.
@gmail.com.
Well, we forget that I said that then. But yeah, I mean,
should we tell them the next movie we're watching so if they want to, maybe watch it?
Yeah.
The next movie we're watching is Hereditary. It's a horror film that came out in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty fire.
A24.
We'll be talking about it later this week, and I hope you there to listen to us.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, Loki actually, because we're editing this a bit too, right?
I'm not forgetting that part. I don't think we are editing this at all, actually.
Really?
I mean, I can't crop. It's hard to crop audio.
Uncut.
It's uncut.
In the flesh? All right, that's fine. I mean, yeah. This is just in the flesh.
So suggest the idea of it in live.
All right. No. I was going to wonder. I was asking Steve a question. Is it an A24 film? Like
It is an A24 film. I forget
I love
the name
movies.
of the director, but it's the same guy who directed Midsommar.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next time. But anyway, this was fun.
Yeah. So we'll do this. We'll be dropping videos.
Just audio, but
just
maybe
podcast
someday we'll get the video. But we'll see.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in.
All right, cue the music.
Cue the dog.
Check out SOS Cinema on all podcasting platforms for access to all episodes.